Somebody said we ought to make commercials for Folgers coffee. Hey, I'm all for it. If anybody has a contact with the Folgers Coffee Company, and they can get us a contract making a commercial for them, count me in. Oh, I wanted to mention my hat. I've been neglectful in doing that. A lot of people have commented on my hat before. Excuse me. A lot of people have commented on my hat before. Some people like it, some people don't, whatever. Overall, I think the majority is, that people like it. Personally, I love my hat. Unfortunately, about 2 years ago, it wasn't long after we got the big blue tractor, we were having a problem with it one day, and I was trying to get it back to the house, pretty quick so we could go ahead and work on it. But it was a pretty windy day, and I had turned my head to look at something. When I did, I bumped it on the rollover bar on the tractor. Well, my hat blew off, blew down on the road in front of the tractor. Well, I couldn't stop in time, so I wound up rolling over it. Yeah, I know. I'm worried about my hat, aren't I? And I wound up breaking my hat. If you can break a hat, I did it. But I broke a section around the back. There's this little metal wire that goes around the brim. I'd broken that and separated the leather out front. And you guys have heard me talk about the women that help me on the page, and they're my support. They're my friends. Love them dearly. But last year they had gone in together and bought me a new hat. Because they knew how depressed I was about losing mine. Well, the problem is that it wasn't the same hat. My old one was weathered and it was waterproof. Took that hat everywhere with me. And I tried to love the new one. I really did. But every time it rained, I kept being reminded that, it wasn't my old hat. Because my head would get wet. Well, it started driving me nuts. So, in desperation, I called the company in Minnesota. Talked to a fellow named Andreas and told him the story. When I told him that my new hat wasn't waterproof, he got concerned. Immediately he said, please send it back to us, we'll take care of it. And he also told me to send back my old one. He said they'd take a look at it and see if they could fix it. Which I thought was kind of cool. Well, I boxed them up, sent them off. The name of the company is Barma, by the way. It's an Australian company, but the people who put them together are here in the States, up in Minnesota. You can look them up online. It's B-A-R-M-A-H, Barma hats. So I boxed up my hats and sent them back to Andreas. Well, about a week and a half later, I got a box in the mail. Opened it up. Sure enough, there was my new hat. They had waterproofed it and cleaned it up a little bit. Took care of it for me. But they had also fixed my old hat. They put a new wire around the brim and sewed it back together. And, re-sewed the part in front that I'd broken apart. Re-stitched it. which I was truly, truly grateful for. Like I said, that hat had been with me everywhere. But then I realized that there were not just 2 hats in the box, there were 3. They had one laying around. So they decided to go ahead and box it up and send it to me along with my 2. In case I wanted to have an extra one, or give it away or sell it or whatever. So I was excited about that. I can't begin to thank Andreas enough, and all the people up at Barma Hats in Minnesota. They didn't ask me to mention it. Nothing was ever said about it, but when somebody goes out of their way to provide service for something that you've owned for 10, 12 years, I think that says something about a company. And I think it deserves to be recognized. So I'd like to thank all the people up at Barma Hats for their generosity and their promptness. Can't say enough about them. Can't say enough about my hat either. I love my hat. All right, buddy. I don't think I can make you any prettier than you are. I'm starting to get cold again. But yeah, if anybody knows anybody connected with Folgers coffee, thinks they can get us a advertising contract, then by all means get in touch with them. You've got my full permission. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go cover that hay back up. We've had some really bad wind here in the past few days. Past week, actually. And it blew all the tarps off my hay that I had covering it that wouldn't fit in the barn. So I'm going to have to go up and move the tarps around and secure them down again. I don't want that hay getting wet. All right, bud. I'm going to get back up the house. Oh. Trying to stay out of trouble today, okay? Trying to stay out of trouble. Love you, buddy.